Please take only 3 minutes. I got your name late.
Sir, for giving me some last-minute time. Sir, I was a bit confused. You suggested that this was a political debate, whereas my good friend, who I refer to as the elder brother Venkaiah Naidu ji, said it's above politics. Now, between these two positions of whether it is politics or it is non-politics, comes the other complicating factor of a very powerful intervention by Mr. Kapil Sibal, my good friend. Now, he lamented, and he's quite right to lament, the absence of the Prime Minister. But he was mystified as to why the Prime Minister promulgated 356 in Arunachal, knowing very well that it couldn't pass muster in the Rajya Sabha. His very words, his logic. At the same time, he gave a graphic description as to why what took place in Arunachal was fundamentally flawed. Now, sir, there is a problem. Does it imply that if the Prime Minister was to have a majority, a wrong decision can be right? And just because a decision rests on the fact that he doesn't have a majority, does it become wrong? So this is, I think, at the heart of the problem today when we talk about this 356, the role of the governors. You show me the person and I'll show you the law. There have been enough cases which have been there where just on the strength that someone has a majority, you have been able to bulldoze various wrong decisions. I'm saying, I am not going necessarily, Anand Sharma ji, into the merits or demerits of this. I am talking about a larger constitutional issue, not about particular pieces of legislation and that. There was certainly no RSS Pracharak in sight when the communist government in 1959 was dismissed. He certainly didn't occupy the post of the governor, nor was the RSS. No, sir, CIA may have been there, and I'm sure you're very right in knowing what the CIA thought. But the point is to blame it only on one section or one particular type of belief is, to my view, wrong. The British have a system whereby all politicians whose use is no longer there are kicked upstairs into a place called the House of Lords. Now, in India, we've never evolved it. But have we used the governor's post to actually decide that anyone who is otherwise redundant is put up to that position? Because the governor, once he or she becomes governor, has to forget his or her prehistory. They have to start afresh. And that had one loyalty to the Constitution, and that loyalty to the Constitution and their responsibility is also now very well defined. But since there have been various cases, and Anand Sharma ji, not merely of this government, including preceding governments, where the provisions of the Anti-Defection Act, where the S.R. Bommai judgment have not been taken into account, I think it's very, very important that a code of conduct, sir, code of conduct, Anand Sharma ji, you're a veteran parliamentarian, I'm a complete novice in this matter. Yeah.
Not just joining issues, but just to tell you, when you talk about that who are occupying the Raj Bhavans, and they should actually detach themselves from their past and be committed to the Constitution. Now, if the present occupants of the Raj Bhavan support Gauraksha, vigilantes, support, give statements in favor of those who are accused in communal riots, please go by the statements which have been made by at least 6 governors. Army training to Bajrang Dal. Please go by the statements. Which constitution allows? Forget about what was their past.
So,
can they take their
Anand
past?
Sharma ji, I take your point very well. I take your point.
And those who don't agree with them will be sent back to Pakistan.
Sir. The point which I was saying, that it is important in the context that if there are ethical or political transgressions by any individual who sits in the governor's chair, it is now necessary, it has become necessary, that a certain code of conduct be actually stipulated and defined,
That is
which
the-
will govern how governors can and cannot behave. Because if this goes on as it is, there
is
is
a
the
good
question of 356 has a large element of subjectivity in it.
Yeah.
It is not merely the law, it's also a very, very powerful exception of how the law is interpreted, how a particular rule is interpreted. So the application of mind is very, very important. And if that is coupled with completely naked partisanship, then I think the problem is. So therefore, all I'm suggesting is, while we also go along and consult with the states in the spirit of the pooled sovereignty which the finance minister spoke about yesterday, I think it's necessary for consultation. It is necessary also for a complete sense of political detachment on the part of the individuals. And finally, just to make it doubly sure, taking into account various strictures, observations by the Supreme Court, a code of conduct
Yes.
for the governors is very
That's a
important.
good
Thank you very
suggestion.
much.
That's a good suggestion.